What is up, everyone? It has been a minute, but welcome back to the Toku Trash Podcast. I am your host, Hawkilles. If you don't know that, I don't know how you got here, but welcome. Hey, welcome to March. It's the beginning of March, and I thought, yeah, I better deliver a goddamn podcast to you guys. So today I have guest Austin Jones. You might know him as OmniRanger on the Twitter sphere. You might know him as the one-man Sentai over on YouTube. He does a lot of fan henshins. He's also the guy that did all the Ryuki poses in under a minute a few years back over on Twitter, and that video blew up. But he's also just a good friend of mine. I've been talking to Austin for probably about a year now. And we've really bonded over stuff like working out, we talk about in this podcast, and obviously our love of Tokusatsu, but there's just a whole sphere of things. And I really realized after talking to him for, this podcast goes for 2 hours, but then we talked for another 2 hours after that, that's not recorded. It's just like we just really vibe. He's just a good guy. So I'm really excited for you guys to hear this conversation, everything we talk about, everything in the Toku sphere, a little bit of content creation sprinkled in because it wouldn't be me and it wouldn't be a Toku Trash podcast without it. And then over in the premium episodes, we talk about some crazy stuff, a lot of anime going on. Austin and I really are trying to get more into anime nowadays, some One Piece talk, and some children's television talk. Maybe more younger children than you're expecting. Like this is all children's television kind of, but maybe much younger of a child watching television than you're expecting. But I'll let you get to that if you listen to the premium episode. And there's only one way to get the premium episode, and that is to be a member over at tokutrash.tv. If you are a member over there, you get YouTube videos early, you get the full 2-hour experience of this podcast, and you get a few extras depending on the tier you're subscribed to. There is the base tier, and then there is a spicy tier if you like the gym picks and the thirst traps and the knot. So those are the things I like to put up on this website. And you get discounts on merch. The March discount is up right now. You get 15% off the entire Toku Trash store with another shirt coming this month. Don't worry. I haven't forgot about you guys. February was obviously a shorter month, but also kind of a realigning month. I think I did a lot of thinking about what I want to be in this year and what I want to see out of myself in this coming year. And I think I landed on positivity. Positivity is what I want to spread most throughout this world in this coming year. And I wasn't liking where it was going in January. So February, I really took the time to rethink, recenter myself. I am back now. It is the beginning of March. We are ready to rock and roll. We may have lost 2 months of the year, but the third one is going to be a banger, and everything after that is going to be a banger. I am abundantly proud of everything I've put out this year, which was a gigantic goal I had last year that I didn't think I would be able to accomplish. I always thought, like, man, I'm way too hard on myself, but I think I'm giving myself more grace this year, and either that or everything I've put out has just been A1 bangers. I don't know. Who knows? But we talk about KingOhger in this as well. Boom Boonger just premiered last night. I watched it on stream over on Twitch with all the wonderful chat and just had a blast of a time. I'm really looking forward to it. Taya is like up there already, but I already am liking the Blue Ranger a lot too. And maybe that's just a trend that I have of Blue Rangers, because Yanma's the GOAT. But I really can't wait to see how I think his name is Maeda, like Meter. I can't wait to see how he turns out. I really liked him in the first episode so far. So, but I won't bore you anymore with this talk. Let me throw you over to myself and Austin Jones, OmniRanger. Please enjoy the Toku Trash Podcast.
Yeah. Thankfully, I'm not even taking a nap like I normally do. I'm trying to get out of that habit.
You're a nappy boy, really?
Unfortunately, yeah. It's kind of a habit of just like not being used to having to use all this energy that I use. It kind of started in college with that, but also just because of my bad eating habits. I do not eat the food that gives me the energy that it should.
Yep. I guess this is a good place to start. I started napping when I had my daughter because she cannot, for the life of her, just go to bed on her own. So like she needs someone there cuddling her, and like having a kid on your chest or on your arm is the easiest way to fall asleep. So like me, every day naps now.
That makes sense, honestly. That's honestly one of the cutest things like that I've ever like really seen people do as a parent. Like I don't really want to have kids myself, but I still love kids, and I'm always like wanting to like support my friends that want to have kids, because I still want to be there for them. I want to be there for their kids to like help them all like have the best lives that they have. And just seeing them like bond with their kids just from taking a nap, it's honestly one of the most like heartwarming things that I see. Especially if it's someone that I've known for like a long time. You see them with like this like small version of themselves now, and it's like, wow, this is where we're at now. This is amazing.
Dude, seeing a person change into a father or a mother from like knowing them for a very long time is such a crazy experience. And now being on both sides of it, because I was an uncle for like 10 years before I became a father. And to anyone out there who's like, man, never want to have kids, be an uncle, whether it's to like your best friend or your siblings. Being an uncle is the greatest thing in the world. Once you became a father, you guys can't see it on audio, but I'm looking at Austin's background right now. All those toys you have to move up like 3 feet. And they have to move up every single like 3 months or so, because your kid will get bigger. Everything in the back right here, I have this big background that everyone sees all the time. What you don't see is off to the side here is just a straight up baby gate. That's like, you're not allowed in this area, because then I have to move all these toys up 3 more shelves.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But being an uncle was like the best thing. And then I thought being a dad, I was like, oh, I've been an uncle. Being a dad is going to be easy. Completely different ball game, my friend.
But no, I definitely do have, like, I definitely wouldn't mind being an uncle, honestly. Like, I claim myself to be an uncle to my brother's dog that he's had for, like, quite a while now. I don't remember how long, but him and a close friend of mine that I used to go to college with, she actually lives in, like, the district that I work in now. Her dog, I pretty much, like, consider her to be my niece. I absolutely love those two to death. And then I'm definitely looking forward to if my brother ends up having kids, because I will not hesitate to tell them the second they come out of the womb how ridiculous their father is. I will flame him so badly.
Holding a baby and you're like, hey, how's it going? Your dad sucks. And
oh my God.
You're going to want to play with all your toys. All your changers.
Yeah, they will. I'll have to be careful with that, honestly, because I'm still kind of at a point where, like, depending on who it is, I'm cool with if they're just like all hands-on and stuff. But they're the type of if they're like kids or the type of person that doesn't know how to put something back where they belong, like, I'm gonna be like, hey man, chill. Especially because now, like, I think you can see it, but my Kamen Rider display, half of it is like, it's literally what, 16 Daiza stands.
Yeah, you're like, hey,
Kamen Rider belts.
The Daiza kid, come on.
And the riskiest thing about having these Daiza stands is that they do not connect together at all. Like, they're just on each other through gravity and grooves. So I just have to hope that either I don't become like clumsy enough, or someone else doesn't just like whoops and like 3 of them fall off. and like 4 or 5 of these are CSMs too. So
yeah, for those of you that can't see, there's 4 Daizas tall to 4 Daizas wide, and they're all organized chronologically. I'm seeing right now. There's double O's, 4's A, and it's like, I just don't have that level of 1, space for that, 2, organizational skills for that. I have one like shelf over there that I've qualified as the build shelf, where all my build stuff is, but it's so filled up that I just have the Blizzard knuckle up here. So like now, whenever I get more build stuff, I'm like, well, now it's just overflowing. Now it's not a shelf anymore.
Yeah. Man, I had to come back to the build stuff because, second favorite season. It was the season that I got my best friend into when I finally got him into Rider. This is his favorite season. But for this, like, Daiza display that I have, the only 2 from the second phase that I'm missing are Wizard and X8. I was mainly getting belts that like I actually like liked and from seasons that I liked.
Yeah.
But then last Power Morpher Con, I managed to get like Ghost and almost all 15 of his icons for like dirt cheap.
Dude, the icons are like, have you ever been to Frankensons down here?
Frankensons?
Yeah.
I think that was the place that had that, like the baggy deal.
There's a place called Frankensons down here, and it's like a building that's basically a little convention where like a bunch of dealers are set up and sell stuff. There's one Tokusatsu guy there, or at least there was last time I went. It's been a year now, and he has this grab gimmick that's basically like this big cage thing, and you just reach in and grab stuff, and everything's like 50 cents to $1, and that thing is it's always icons and Q-Tamas without fail, just over and over again, like 50,000 icons and Q-Tamas.
Yeah, the ones that really didn't, I guess, hit the mark as much as they like to, either because of the toys themselves, like the Q-Tamas, since they were barely used enough, or because of the icons and like how Ghost, for the most part, ends up being like received. But like over time, like I didn't plan on getting the Sword Driver because they didn't have like the full scale version, and when they came out, I just couldn't afford it yet. Then Geo, Saber, Ghost, like seasons I wasn't too fond of. But then, 2023 came along. I was, starting to actually work overtime, and I'm like, you know what? I got the space for it. I can afford it. But let me get it. Just get the entire season in one haul. And
let's start
at this point, now I'm just missing Wizard and X8, and I have those two specific empty slots for. One is for Ryuki, and the other one I couldn't decide which one I was going to make it for yet. But I decided to go ahead and make it Blade because that's one of the 5 Phase 1 seasons that I have seen, and they just announced that they're re-releasing that belt and that sword. So I'm like, you know what? It's going to be here. I might as well get it in new condition instead of trying to buy it secondhand.
Hey, this is just Hawk for a second, and this is an ad, so like if you want to skip this, that's cool. But also, if you look at me and you're like, man, Hawkilles wears some dope Kamen Rider shirts, odds are I probably got them from Rinkatori. Rinkatori.com, RINK. I was going to do this really well, but I don't know how to spell. Just go on any of my profiles. Rinkatori.com is the website. And if you go and search through the shop, they have Year of the Dragon that pays tribute to all the dragons of Kamen Rider. They have the Neo Heisei set up, which has got some sick build merch. I personally love the Kamen Rider Grease shirt. I have that. And then they have a bunch of other dope merch from the rest of the Neo Heisei riders, and they have a bunch of the early Heisei riders as well. I think all of those shirts are sick, but what I am cutting in this podcast to tell you is that if you want 10% off those shirts, anything in the entire Rinkatori shop, you use discount code HAWK10 at checkout. So go over there, check it out. If you see anything you like, make sure to use discount code HAWK10 at checkout. That is HAWK10. See, I can spell sometimes. Use Hawk10 at checkout for 10% off, and shout out to Rinkatori for always being a great sponsor. Yeah, I am the opposite of that, where I feel like, man, secondhand has just been the way to go for me.
It really has.
Man, I can get these lots of like all these toys and gimmicks for like $40 after the season's over, or like years after the season's over. Sometimes even while the season's going on. I remember I have my Memorial Geertlinger here that like we bought during chat or during one of those buy streams that chat like gave to me, and it was not even 6 months after that thing came out, and it was like $70 less than when it came out.
The Dawn Blaster, it's not even like, even with the pre-sale gear that it comes with, it's already going for like $100 on there. I knew I had to get that. I literally just got the Zonglass sword in the mail while I was at work yesterday. It wasn't from Bai. Like, I got it from Tokulectables because, I figured if I got it from Bai, that shipping would be nasty.
Yes.
So I went ahead and just got it from Bai like I originally planned to, because I missed the pre-order window. But yeah, the secondhand stuff, it is the way to go, especially with like Memorial or Premium Edition stuff, because they're gonna say something is like damaged or dirty, but it's really just like one speck of dust that's on the box.
Dude. Like,
yes, like
it's so funny to me, the dichotomy of like, man, I am this 32 or am I 32? Yeah, 32-year-old man
in about to be 32-year-old man in Los Angeles, California, just like dying to get this one driver. And I'm going to go on a website and buy it from probably this 9-year-old's bedroom in Japan who like has just naturally grown out of it, like has played with it for 2 years and now is done with it. And he's just like, his parents are just like, yeah, we'll just throw it up on Mercari, no problem. And I'm like, this is plastic crack to me. I need this driver. And this 9-year-old kid's like, yep. This 9-year-old kid's like, Kamen Rider, that's not really my thing anymore. You can sell it, mom and dad. Go ahead, put it in the yard sale. And I'm just like, fucking give it to me. Need that 01 driver. Let's go, baby.
Man, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy how lucky you can get when you find stuff on Bai and Yahoo Auction Japan. Like, much more lucky than if you would on eBay. So you saw last year, I managed to get every like main Morpher from Power Rangers in the 30-year history. Like, the only two that are missing are the Solar Morphers and the Rhino Morpher, because I want to get like show accurate versions of those.
You have Sentai versions of some of them, right?
Yeah. Like, I have the. Yeah, it just depends on like what they use in the show or how close to it being accurate it is. Like, if it's anything from Wild Force onwards, I'm gonna get the Japanese version. Anything from Time Force or before that, I'm more than likely gonna get the American version. Except for the Astro Morpher, I got the Mega Reel edition of they're so Digitizer sick. And the Battleizer. Yes,
because I have the Keytizer. I have the Keytizer, the Mega version, and it's just like the first time I held it, I was like, "This is the coolest fucking thing I've ever owned." Like,
it is so clean too. Oh my god, the Artisan line. It was short, but I loved what they did with those re-releasing the Morphers. It was nice.
Yeah, now we just have the Memorial line. Now you just have to wait a year, and then you get a way better version of the DX toy.
Oh yeah, that's why I never really got the Morphers initially for what is it? KingOhger, Dawn Brothers, and KingOhger. Dawn Brothers I did like in the middle of the season because that's when I actually started. That's when I was allowed to start working overtime, and that was around that time when everybody was just. It was like halfway through Dawn Brothers. Everybody was really invested into it. We were all like, "Yeah, I'm loving this show." I was like, at that point, I'm just like, you know what? I'm loving the show too much. I can't not have this Morpher. I don't care if it's like this small dinky size. I'm gonna go ahead and get it until the Memorial version comes out.
Yeah. It's funny because like the first time I ever saw the Gabu Revolver out in the wild, I was at my
favorite series.
Dude, I was at a book off in Arizona when I was visiting my parents, and I saw the Gabu Revolver, and I know what like the Dino Charge Morpher looks like, and I like picked up the Gabu Revolver. I was like, this is not the Dino Charge Morpher. This is a big boy. This shit is gigantic.
Dude, every time I think about the Gabu Revolver, it just takes me back to high school because I was in like second half of my sophomore year, first half of my junior year when KingOhger came out. That was my all-time favorite series. And that was around the time when I had my first job too. So around like November, I ended up saving up just enough to get the Gabu Revolver. That was the first Super Sentai toy that I ever owned. That wasn't like Bandai America Power Rangers. That was straight up Super Sentai. Yeah. And that was like right after I got the O's driver too. That was literally my first Bandai Japan toy at all. So like I got one of my favorite rider belts, and just a couple months later, I managed to get the Morpher from my favorite Sentai series. It was all downhill from there for my wallet, honestly.
Humble beginnings, and then you look behind you now, and it's just like Oma Geo driver, build genius form. Just
oh my god, yeah. But like back to like what I was saying on Bai, like it's crazy how lucky I could get on there because when I got every Morpher from Power Rangers, I only intended on getting the main Morphers. I didn't intend on getting like repaints, Battleizer Morphers, except for the Battle Booster and the Battleizer from In Space.
Yeah.
But, I was just on there. I don't know why I was on Bai this time because I had no plans to do anything on there.
You know exactly why you were on Bai.
No, honestly speaking, I had no intentions on getting anything this time because the only thing I needed was the Dawn Blaster. I was just bored one time. I was like, what is this? I wonder how much it goes for. I found the Max Brace, the gold version of the Dino Morpher with just the Tyranno plate, no wrist strap. I found that thing for just $25. I looked at it. I just held it on my tab for a bit. I'm like, you know what? I'm curious. Let me see if I can find this specific piece on eBay. Like right after that, I did. I managed to find that Mezzodon faceplate that goes on the gold version of the Morpher whenever Connor calls for the Battleizer. So I'm like, okay, that's a bit much for that plate, but this is going for a great price. So let me get this Morpher because I only need the one faceplate, and then let me get this faceplate because that's the only other faceplate I'll need. And I'm gonna have this together. Man, I'm set. Wow. It's nice. It is nice having so many like sites and resources to be able to like get lucky enough to just get what you need as opposed to like spending so much on what you think you might need or like getting a whole set of something when like it's
great.
It's crazy.
In 2020, when I first started like doing YouTube videos and stuff, one of my big things was like, I don't want to do toy reviews because that's just like so expensive to get into. So I'll do like here and there, like the main, driver for Kamen Rider. Those views pop off. But once you start getting down the line of like power ups and stuff, all the views are kind of diminishing at that point. So I was like, maybe I'll get the main driver of stuff and everything. So I got the sword driver, which is a driver that I absolutely despise, by the way. I hate swords from Bandai. Just, they come out as daggers. They're never cool.
Yeah.
And then like,
it's so disappointing, especially because it looks so cool on the show.
Yeah, and like the sword driver, like the KingOhger, we'll get to KingOhger in a second, but the Ohger caliber is one thing of like, this is a small sword, but hey, memorial version comes out, boom, it's a big sword. The sword driver is different than there's a memorial version and I can get a big sword, but it doesn't go inside the fucking driver. Like I'm never going to have a driver for this big sword to go into.
Like the best use, like if like, I feel like its best usage is for people that like to, I guess, role play or like use certain props or videos, like how me, Jem, and some other folks would like try to cut to from the small sword to pulling it out and then having the big sword, which I do intend on doing someday if I ever do get that sword for sure.
Yeah, the first time I saw Jem do it, I was like, oh, that looks badass. But like,
oh yeah,
that's just a different use case than I'll ever use it for.
It is. But yeah, that's kind of one of the big things. That's kind of one of the bigger like plans that I had. Mm-hmm. Like when I was, again, going back to like when I was getting every Morpher from Power Rangers, I was doing my rewatch of the entire Power Rangers series because, Cosmic Fury was coming up. It was probably going to be the last season. And I hadn't done like a big rewatch since college. Mm-hmm. My initial plan to be more like, when I was trying to be more financially responsible, my initial plan was to just wait until the season starts or the previous season ends to get a specific Morpher. That plan went out the window quick when I would start hauling them because my other plan, like ideas that I had was to like, if I start getting these Morphers, the sooner I get these Morphers, the sooner I can get back into doing these morphing videos so I can actually have these Morphers to use as props. Because that was like one of the biggest excuses that I had back in college since I barely had any Morphers back then. Like I didn't want to just use plain air. I didn't want to use like the paper mache Morphers that I used to use, but I'll give myself credit for that. I did. I was kind of busting my ass off making those paper mache Morphers. But like at this point, like, especially since I can afford it now, like I just want the real thing, especially for seasons that I grew up with. It's like, it just means that much more to me to like have this and actually doing a video with this as an adult. It's part of healing your inner child. I
thought you were going to say you bundled them because they're cheaper when you ship them bundled as opposed to one by one.
No. Oh, no. Some of the ones that I was missing, I had to get off of eBay.
Oh,
including that titanium Morpher.
Expensive ass Morpher.
Dude,
I've wanted it in Astro Morpher for the longest time. Just because like that 3, 5, like it's unbeatable.
Man, I think around that time I got that Astro Morpher. Best thing I learned about that thing. It's voiced by Whacker Wilson from Dino Thunder.
Oh,
from
really?
That Lost in Translation episode. I wish we recorded this episode in Black History Month because that's the best thing I want to tell people that listen to this. The Astro Morpher is black, you guys. That's the best W I've ever heard for collecting a Morpher.
Like this Morpher, shout out.
Man.
Or the culture, this Morpher.
Honestly. And it was one of the dudes that worked at iNet from Mega Ranger as well. It was that same actor that played Whacker Wilson.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, they had to voice it. It was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I keep losing my train of thought every time we talk about something, honestly, because we keep drifting off, and I keep saying, okay, I'm gonna come back to this, but like, I keep having different thoughts and conversations.
We're just shooting the shit. That's what this podcast is all
about.
Yeah. We'll always say that everything. Don't worry, we got a lot of time.
Oh yeah. I always see that as a good thing, honestly.
I was gonna say is like when I first started back, I like didn't want to be a toy channel as much, and I bought like toys here and there, but I was buying them off Amazon Japan and paying $50 for shipping for one thing to come over and everything. And I didn't really know how to use like HLJ or anything, or there's another one that does like bundled warehouse type shipping. And I didn't really know how to use those ones. And then I hit up Bai for the sponsorship, and shout out to them. They're fucking rule.
Oh yeah. Like, hey, we gonna be hyping Bai up in this episode. Let me tell you.
There will be the coupon code in the description. You get 10% off. But back when I started, it was 2,000 yen off. And I think they changed it. Don't quote me, but I think they changed it just purely based on like Japanese yen being so down right now. The 10% off sometimes comes out to more than that. But I was making my second video for them, and it was all about like how to buy from them. And I was like, well, I have to buy something so that I can like unbox it and be like, see, this is the thing. See how easy it is. And I didn't have any build merch besides the driver. And I was like, that's all I need is the driver. But I saw Rabbit Take Sparkling, and I fucking love that form. I love that gimmick and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I used the code for it. And it ended up, and like all cards on the table, transparency. I get free shipping from Bai because they are a sponsor. I'm affiliated with them. So
that sounds about right.
Yeah, when I do videos for them, I get free shipping. So like all in all, using the code, the free shipping and everything, like I got Rabbit Take Sparkling used for $4. And ever since then, I was like, this is it. This is how I'm buying Toku toys.
Oh my God, yes. Man, to this day, like I like kind of anytime it comes to looking back at like when I started using Bai, I like to like quote unquote blame Josh for it.
Yeah.
Because around that time, I think I was either like paying for the invoice half of my pre-order for the Memorial Mobiritz. Mm-hmm. And around that time, I'm thinking like, you know what? I might as well, since I'm getting this, I might as well see like try to start small with getting my Ranger Key collection, because I knew it was going to be difficult. Like this before I found out Bai existed. Like I was thinking this is going to be difficult. I only have like eBay, Kotetsu Toys. He could be a bit pricey at times, so I got to choose when I buy stuff from him. And then even CS Toys, I got to like either only have a certain amount of Ranger Keys or really go slow with it, because I want full teams. I don't want just the red Reds or like yeah. So I can't remember if I posted on the timeline or hit up Josh like directly. I'm like, hey, do you have any recommendation on how I can get in these Ranger Keys? Yeah, there's this one site. I can send it to you. It was a Bai listing of every like deluxe Ranger Key set release from during Gokaiger and after Gokaiger, with like the teams from Gao Ranger to Geki Ranger. And it had like both versions of the original Mobiritz, the Gokai Cellular, and a Gokai Tranger box. All of that shit was only $150, dude. And the shipping, DHL shipping, was only $50 for all of that.
Dude, I'm telling you, somebody turns 15 and decides, oh, I'm done with Super Sentai. Like some Japanese kid turns 15 and is like, I'm done with Super Sentai. Let me sell all this stuff real quick and let it go. At my work, we had a Japanese guy come over and do some work, and I was wearing a Digimon shirt, and I remember him being super excited about it. Like, oh, Digimon. And I was like, yeah, cool. He spoke a little broken English. And then I remember being like, oh, like a couple days later, it hit in my head like, oh, he obviously knows Super Sentai and Kamen Rider then. So let me ask him about it. And so I asked him, I was like, oh, do you know Kamen Rider? And he's like, Not since real little. And I was like, what do you mean like real little? He's like 8 years old. And I was like, damn, never mind then.
Yeah. You know what? Since you brought up Digimon, I feel like this might be a good time for me to talk about, I guess, my very little experience with anime. But since you mentioned Kamen Rider, there's one thing I do want to mention that like I really like. Something about it just really made my day. So I don't know if you saw, but like I know some of us in the Toku Circle saw it. Like me and Vaughn definitely saw it, probably some others as well. There's this one dude on TikTok in like the Black anime community that has like quite a few followers on TikTok. We saw that he had a video and it like did pretty well too. Got a few thousand likes, like talking about Kamen Rider. Like he was saying, like Black anime fans, if you were really into anime, you need to check out Kamen Rider, especially if you was into Power Rangers.
Posted it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Like I saw like literally as soon as I saw that, I didn't even finish the video. I commented, a Black man talking about Kamen Rider. Instant follow. That was weeks ago. Cut to a couple days ago. A foreigner from Japan, he saw my video of me doing all the Ryuki poses under a minute that I posted like back in 2020. And that popped up a little bit. Especially in Japan, he saw it, posted it as a reel, and Ivan Deca Mexican, he tagged me in it saying, "Hey, this is my boy Austin." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." This one dude replies to my comment saying, "Yeah, that's me." He's like, "Oh, word? A Black Kamen Rider fan? And you're from Houston? We locked in now." I'm just sitting there like, "Okay, cool. Who the hell are you?" Because it felt weird just like seeing someone say like we're friends now. Like I don't know you. And then he followed me on TikTok. I see this username saying that he followed me. He messages me. I'm like, how are you able to message me when I don't even follow you? He's like, "Oh dude, you already follow me. What's up, man?" Like, who are you? No, it's that same dude. And dude, we were just we hit it off immediately. Like I found out he lives in Texas too. I can't remember if we live in the same city or if he lives in Austin, but sometime sooner or later, I do intend on probably getting together here with him and maybe trying to do something with him. Cause I've never really thought about collabing before, because just my creation side, I feel like it could still use a lot of work. But like lately, just me wanting to collab with everybody that I know is like really doing shit very good. Like especially with him, it just made like something just really like popped off in my head. That's like we need to make this happen. Like as soon as possible. Like it could be a tier list. It could be just talking about something. It could be me teaching you how to do a pose and we do a video together. I'm usually doing this shit solo, but if you can hit this off well, you need to get in front of this camera with me, dog.
You said you hadn't done a ton of collabs, but like, I know I've just figured out that that's not like super true, because you have done like suit acting for.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. I think when I say that, I mean more like, I've never really collabed with anyone for my content. Like me and Ivan, we've known each other for I think about 8 years now at this point. And there was a time when he was still living here, whenever I was available, which was like very little time while I was in college, I would be in his video, like whether it be like one of the main faces or just a suit actor or just helping out in some way. Cause like Ivan is one of those dudes that like, he really works his ass off to the point where he has a habit of not sleeping like he should. But like, Ivan's kind of I think he was like the first dude, I guess, that really like got me into the habit of just like trying to interact more with the content creators in the Toku space. And it's like, even though like around that time I had stopped myself, I was always very happy to just like help him out, because I like to see how he does things. He got me in a suit the first time. He almost every time I was around, he would have me teach other people how to do poses and shit, because he was that impressed about the stuff that I could do. And it's still like sometimes surprises me to this day on like how much this impresses people. Because, you know, that part of you tries to humble yourself where it's like, you know, time went by. I'm pretty sure like a lot of people know how to do this stuff now because, you know, things have been popping more. But like, no, he's always still like hyping me up about this. Other people are always still like commenting on my stuff. It's like, it's almost kind of eye-opening. And like, if it wasn't for, you know, COVID and me wanting to put so much time into, you know, joining the fire department and getting money for that for my collection, like I would have realized a while back that like, yeah, I should have gotten back into making content on a regular basis, like much earlier. Cause like, you know, you see how I do. I kind of sprinkle things here and there. It's never like in one specific social media site, but I try to do it whenever I can. Cause like something just pops up for like a moment of time where like, you know what? I got to get something out there. I got to do these team poses. I really hit it hard when it came to doing those poses for the anniversary last year with like 3 crossover teams. Usually I would only do just like one and that would be it for like a year or two. I recorded myself doing 3 different crossovers. Each of them had more than 10 Rangers. I was sweating at about 10 to 13 shirts off in just those 3 days.
Yeah.
It was insane. But I'm so like, especially with the Wild Force and Time Force one, because Wild Force is one of my favorite poses to do, just hitting the ground like that. Like I feel like that Wild Force one might be my favorite of those 3 because of that. Like something around that time after that, I'm like, you know what? I got to get back into this. I got to start doing this on a regular basis. I can actually afford to buy like significantly expensive stuff that I want now. So let me just not focus on this collection as much. Branch out, you know, while you're being more financially responsible. Get the stuff that you've been meaning to get. Like get a better laptop. Start getting the camera. Start getting the mic like you recommended. Like and then just I'm trying to open my mind a bit more to making my content as well. Like even just something doing like just making tier lists. Because if I do that, like, you know, I'll get more used to just talking about stuff that I enjoy without just, you know, having a TV episode's audio in the background. And I think it'll just help me decide, like, be more decisive on the stuff that I enjoy more as well. Cause like I can never I almost always have difficulty picking a favorite of 90% of the things that I enjoy. Like I can probably count on both hands the only things that I genuinely have favorites of. Like my favorite Sentai series, my favorite Ultraman theme song, my favorite Rider series. That like it's not much. Everything else is just like, and it's hard to decide. I got a top 5, no chronological order, no specific order. Got a top 3, stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's like a good way to go about things of just like, hey, guess what? I just enjoy it. I just enjoy all of it. It doesn't need to be this competition of like which one I enjoy most or least.
Oh my God. And don't even get me started on that competition stuff. Because like people tend to get so heated just when it comes to like enjoying something. Like
I had somebody today in my Discord ask me, they were like, hey, is it okay if I don't like KingOhger? Because I've been very vocal about KingOhger is just straight up my favorite Sentai series now.
Yeah.
And so like, hey, is it okay if I don't like KingOhger? And I'm like, what the fuck do I care? Like, of course it is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I would much rather you enjoy more things in the world than like dislike things because I dislike them. Because a lot of people are like, oh, well, you don't like Forze, so like, should I not like Forze? And I was like, no, I would much rather you enjoy more things than I do because like, I'm just a person who naturally not doesn't enjoy much, but like, if I don't like something, I don't like something. There's not really a middle. Okay, you want to talk about it? Let's go.
Now, Hawk, you know what I'm about to say, right?
Go ahead. I'll give you all the reasons. I'll give you all the reasons.
You love Forze.
I will. Okay, so here's the deal.
Yeah.
It 100% started out as a meme. It started out as a meme.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't even watched Forze at that point. When I started doing all this, I hadn't seen it or anything. It was 100% a meme because my first Rider series that I watched, like marathon through start to finish, was Drive. And Drive, a police officer. So I was like, man, those have consequences at the end of each battle, if that makes sense. You're crossing your arms. I'm going to make this not
Oh no, sorry. I just have a significant habit of crossing my arms. Just sometimes, half of the time, it's because I actually think my biceps look good when I cross my arms.
They do. We'll talk about working out in a second. But like, I'd watched Drive, and I was like, I love Drive. He's my favorite. He's my favorite purely based on like, I know it's not an amazing over the top season, but he's my favorite because that's what got me into all this regularly.
Of course, and I think Forza was that for me too.
Yeah, like everyone has that first Rider series that just holds. It could be later on. It could be like you're like, man, this is the shittiest Rider series ever, but it's my Rider series. So like, I know that. I know fucking a lot of people have like Samurai that are like, this is not a good season, but this is my season.
And dude, like that's kind of what I was about to bring up earlier. Like people that really try, like I feel bad that some people feel like they had to like apologetically mention that they either like or dislike a certain season that the general consensus has a feeling about. But I would rather you be apologetic so I can like make sure you know that I am perfectly okay with you liking the series. Just as long as you're like not always trying to debate about it or speak about it like it's a fact, or just be disrespectful about like how someone else feels differently about it. Like that's kind of the biggest things that I have.
As long as you can like something and point out its flaws, we're okay.
Yes.
Don't pretend like that's the most amazing thing. I'm probably the biggest Saber hater that I know, especially at this point, because everyone's like, this revisionist history that Saber is amazing and always was amazing. It's like, I was there and I saw all of you. What are we talking about? Like, let's point out that yes, Saber has problems and there are good parts of Saber, but let's not pretend like it was always this golden standard of Kamen Rider.
I think Saber's when that really started. It felt weird. But that being said, though, I can see why people enjoy Saber because, like, when I was watching 100%. It myself, especially in that second half of it, I was actually a little more engaged with it. And I don't know, something about that last episode of Saber, spoilers for those that haven't seen it, in that final episode of Saber, when that world was like diminishing or dissolving away and like Toma was dissolving away too, something about that was just visually like intense.
Yeah.
And like, regardless of how I felt about the series overall, I knew I liked that scene at the very least. Because there's a bunch of scenes in Saber that I liked.
I can find so much in series that I can find so much in Forza that I'm like, man, I really like this about it. Doesn't mean I like the entire thing overall.
Especially if it was an episode that Koichi Sakamoto directed. Man.
I have mixed feelings on Koichi Sakamoto.
Really?
Like, dude, you're a god at shooting fights. Please stop doing upskirt shots. Like, please.
Oh yeah. He could. You could chill on that, dude. You could chill on that.
Like, we can do this with that. Do that in the Yodana special. I don't care. It seems a little much here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But the thing about Forza is like I said, it started as a meme because my favorite was Drive at the time. And I was like, well, Forza likes to be friends with murderers. So like Drive is the exact opposite of that. So like I'm going to, and the way I started content creation and still kind of now is I very much make it like, some people will take this out of context because I've seen it done before, but I'm gonna try to explain it the best I can here. I like to be the antagonist of my streams because it's so much more exciting watching a 2-hour stream of mine if it's team chat versus team me.
So that way you can always have the like funny ass interactions and stuff, like just clashing with each other like that. Yeah.
That way if I win, I can be the biggest asshole and like gloat about it. And then you come back next time because you want to see me get my comeuppance. But if you win, it's the funniest shit in the world. And I get to make this big moment.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like,
oh my God, yes.
It's just basic storytelling because I feel like if you're watching me for 2 hours, then I should be more entertaining than a movie you could watch for 2 hours or something else you would do for 2 hours.
Something about the way you described that, it almost feels like I don't know why my mind came to this. For some reason, it kind of reminded me of Carmen Sandiego.
It's
like,
in a way,
I think it's because of how someone described one of the two Carmen Sandiego TV shows. Well, like how she doesn't antagonize like the audience or the kids that are searching for her, but she's like making this entertaining like interaction with them to keep things to keep the ball rolling, to keep that engagement.
Yeah, it should be like everything is storytelling. It's not like I don't know if you've ever probably noticed by now, but like all my Twitch streams that I make these big ass deals get cut into YouTube videos, and there's a different audience for those. I don't expect you to watch both of them, but some people like being there for the 2 hours and being a part of it and joining that interactive story. And then some people like the 13-minute version that's super cut down and like just being this passive interaction in it, this passive watcher that can comment later or whatever. And so like, it's this fine line to tailor my content for both of those people. I need to be entertaining for 2 hours to one person. I need to be entertaining for 13 minutes to another person. Like of no downtime over here, but like time enough over here to point out comments and read chat and do all this stuff. So it's this fine line. So the way, and I got this from a different Twitch streamer, that just to be this antagonist of the story that's going on. And I don't mean it like people, the way this has been taken out of context is people think I like to just stir up shit for no reason, which is not the case, which is not the case at all. I mean,
I don't think I've even seen you stir up shit,
dude.
Unless it like came to Forza or, what's his name? The dude that sang, Decades theme song. Gacked, yeah.
Gacked.
This was like Forza, Gacked, Lupin Ranger versus Power Ranger. I haven't really seen you like stir up shit like that.
Wholly my chat of being like, watch Lupat for the next 24-hour a-thon, whatever. And like I said, full transparency, watching Toku for 24 hours on stream and having to do this like, you know, this act or whatever you want to call it of like being on all the time and like talking to people and just having this wide social battery for 24 hours while also reading this show, every single line of it. Like I can't get up and get water unless I pause it.
The fact that we have to read our favorite shows.
Like
we need this medium to be dubbed more often, please.
I completely agree. But like reading for 24 hours at a time, like would get to anybody. And so people are like, God, you got to watch Lupat on chat. And like two things. One, I don't think Super Sentai lends itself well to that 24-hour marathon style because like most of the time there isn't this through story that you have to like follow.
I feel that. Yeah, you're right.
And then two, like I've heard so much shit about Lupat that like, why would I want to pick this season to watch? Like, why would I ever want to pick this season that is some people call this missive, but I don't even think it's that. I've heard far more bad about Lupat than I've ever heard good. And so I'm like, cool, I like these designs, but like I will appreciate them that way. I don't need to go back and watch Sentai for 24 hours. But then I actually watched Forza, and I watched it all the way through in one of these 24-hour marathons. And there was little things that I already didn't like as I was watching it. And then those little things just got bigger. And I think they just compounded on top of me not being able to sleep and being forced to watch this and all this stuff. So all this stuff stacked up. And like
and then it came to the final episode.
Dude, I was livid. I was absolutely livid when he beat the final boss not in the Forza suit. I was like, what kind of bullshit? And like, I get that Forza, the context of like when it came out, what it was supposed to be this big happy thing because of the tragedies going on in Japan at the time and everything. So I'm like, that's cool. And I understand people's need for like that comfort show. In that moment, I was not looking for that.
Yeah, I feel that. I 100% feel that, honestly.
And so the Forza thing, and even like the people were like laughing that I had to buy the driver and all the switches and everything. Like the driver is one of the things I think is the best thing about that show. I think the driver is beautiful, incredible. One of the coolest gimmicks. I literally have one on my desk all the time that I just play with.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God, the Forza driver. So like, when I got into Forza, or when I got into Kamen Rider in general, like I had known about it for like a couple years, but then around 2012, not too long after Go Buster started, like I think right before summer too, I decided to watch that O's Deno movie for the 40th anniversary.
Yeah,
and then I decided, wow, this is great. I already knew all these writers existed from seeing like compilations and stuff. I already knew about O's and his combos. I always loved his jingles. I already knew about Deno. Let me actually go ahead and watch Kamen Rider. So like I was watching a bunch of stuff from Showa during the time. I was making sketches of like the legendary 7 riders. I still have those sketches from 12 years ago too. And then around a certain time, I'm like, you know what? I pulled up the O's Forze movie, still one of my favorite Kamen Rider movies of all time. Megamax? Oh my God. That was what made me decide, okay, let me finally watch Forze, see what that's about. I started from episode 1 of Forze, and like I was just watching it nonstop. Like it was near this, like by the time I started it was around the second half of the series anyways. So by the time I caught up, it was like just a couple days before episode 39 had aired.
Yeah.
And like at that time I was deep in it. I was invested. Like that was still around that time. I couldn't afford anything. I was in high school. So for Morphers, if I couldn't afford a Morpher, I was going to make it. When I was into Kamen Rider, I ended up doing that same thing for Kamen Rider too. But since the design for Rider belts were a lot more complex than like simple Ranger Morphers, those things ended up looking crappy. I did it for the Forze driver though, like to the best of my ability for something that didn't have any hinges, that couldn't twist or turn anything. It was just all like flat cardboard with like rectangular boxes in front. That was it. I did it for Forze, for Double, for O's. But yeah, man, Forze. I think that was that series that like, I'm kind of glad that like Koichi Sakamoto directed that one, because I think because of just my personal experience with Power Rangers throughout my entire life. And then at that point, I'd been watching Super Sentai for about 5 years. And like Koichi Sakamoto directing that, it was like it was kind of easier for me to like,
it felt like familiar.
Yeah. Cause if it was not for that dude and his work on Power Rangers, nothing from, I think 2009 onwards would have like looked the way it did after he had moved on from RPM to do the Ultra series and then Sentai and Rider. Like the stuff that he did, it really made me enjoy it. And I was losing my train of thought again.
No, it's okay. I will also credit Forze as I think Forze probably far and away at this point is the best Rider series that I've seen incorporate effects like CG special effects. I think the CG special effects in that are used so sparingly well. Whereas like now, you know what I'm talking about. You'll watch a scene and you'll be like, this is just a rainbow mess on the screen.
Yeah. It's
just flashing lights and like all these particle effects. Whereas like Forze, he did all this space stuff with the rockets and everything, and like it's such a good blend of practical and CG effects in that show. Probably to the credit of Koichi Sakamoto of being like, look, he needs to fly for this part. We need to put him on wires and go up because he has a rocket in his hand. You guys can add the jets in, but the rocket needs to be practical. Then I think it does that very, very well. And even watching through the whole series, I was like, man, visually this show is very pleasing, and I like the Forze suit. I like I don't love the Forze Wizard movie. I think it's the worst Rider movie of all time. I
give it credit. So like I think I've only watched it like once or twice, but I always look back to it like the one thing I at least always admire from that movie is just, I think that was the last of them that did it aside from the Kikaider reboot, but just bringing back a bunch of like Ishinomori heroes that didn't have any long running franchises.
You're like, oh, yeah, that's Inazuman, obviously.
Like I don't even think I knew who Inazuman was, or the Akumizers or XV2, who was like Dai Tetsuji 17. I didn't know who any of those people were or any of those heroes were, but like years later when I would learn about them and I saw that they brought them back in these ways, I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like just the fact that they managed to like somewhat like tribute or like make a homage to like a bunch of these Ishinomori heroes.
Yeah.
Something about that just like it hit something right in my brain. I just loved it. I loved it. I didn't love the movie, but I love the fact that existed.
Yeah, it's funny because we watched Poitrine for Tokusatsu World Tour, which is an old podcast I did with Jem, where we would watch one episode of something. So we watched the first episode of Poitrine because it was on the Toei Tokusatsu YouTube channel. And I remember it was bad. It was just so bad. And then seeing her in that movie, or like a homage to her in that movie, I was just like, if I hadn't watched Pottery before, this probably would have hit a lot more of being like, oh, cool, look, I know that thing, but it's a cool homage. But I'm just like, this thing sucked back then. And I'm just reminded of how bad it was.
Man, there's still one Ishinomori series that, well, technically two, but one that like really needs to make a comeback. So the second one I was thinking was just Bycrosser, maybe. It's almost the same thing as like the Kyodyne siblings, except it's like motorcycle themed.
Bycrosser has my favorite imagery in all of Tokusatsu because
just
one
like
of them uses
motorcycle.
One of them uses it as a rocket, while the other one is still on the motorcycle. It's so funny.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, that theme song kind of hits though for like an '80s Tokusatsu theme.
All of those
I kind of rock with
hit.
it. Oh my God, yes. We'll get back to Tokusatsu music in a bit. But the main series that I was talking about that needs to somehow come back without it being a homage through Zenkaiger or something, Ninja Captor. I don't know what they're gonna do with it. I don't know how they're gonna do it. I want to see what they do in Ninja Captor someday, if they ever get around to doing that.
Scoop here. You'll hear it here first. Ninja Captor, actually the 50th Sentai. Actually going to be year 50. They're going to be like, guys,
don't say that.
We're officially adding it, but we're just replaying the episodes. So like, have fun.
Ooh, you were breaking up a bit.
You got me? I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, guys, you wanted Ninja Captor added, so it's going to be the 50th Sentai, but we're just going to replay the episodes.
Oh my God.
Here it is. Man, have fun.
It would have been hilarious though if like they made Stay Caesar based off of Ninja Captor instead. Because like just think about that. Like the main dude that's always got beef with the Go Ranger inspired Ranger is the Ranger based off of a like quote unquote Sentai that was never officialized as a Sentai.
They never got in.
Yeah.
Like, why won't you guys let me be a part of your squad?
But I do like what they did with Stacy though.
You can't sit with us, okay, Stacy?
Oh my, yeah.
Stay over there.
Oh man.
While we're talking about Sentai though, before we get in the paid portion of this podcast, one just ended, and I would like to know your thoughts on it. I talked about it a little bit. Osama Sentai KingOhger.
Oh yeah. So like the main reason why I wanted to talk about KingOhger was just because I was really invested with those final 3 parts. Mm-hmm. I was loving KingOhger like from start to finish. Like I was well aware of its flaws, obviously. Like that CGI background.
What flaws?
It didn't, it wasn't like obviously the CGI background, like it wasn't perfect. It wasn't the best, but obviously they were trying something new. Looking back at it, they kind of needed that to tell the story that they were trying to tell, especially with the settings that they wanted to have. Like we couldn't just use like these town centers of the quarries every single time like they do with most Sentais. Like we kind of needed that for that world expansion.
Yeah, I loved it. One of my biggest favorite parts of that series is just like I was number one detractor about the CG when it came out because everyone was like, "This looks better than the MCU," and I was like, "You guys are fucking idiots! Like, what are you talking about?
Shut up!
Shut up! Stop! Shut up! Please accept that it's bad. Okay. Like, we can enjoy it and still accept that it's bad."
That's pretty much how I enjoy Power Rangers. Like people still talk about like I remember around college, people were talking about. I think one of my friends before like they and I legit became friends. They were like, "Why do you like Power Rangers so much? You know that's a fake show." I was this close to making such a snarky remark. Like I can't remember. Like I think my response was just like, "Yeah, I know," but to this day I still remember what I was damn near about to say. I was going to say something like, "Oh wow, Power Rangers is fake. I had no clue. Now what am I ever going to do? Oh no."
It's like, guess what else is fake? Everything that's ever come across your screen, dog.
And there ain't no Santa either.
None of that is real. With the KingOhger CG stuff, I think one of my favorite things is like that series never ever feels like it's in Japan. So many Sentai series, you can just point at and like, this is this part in Japan, obviously. Or this like feels very Japanese in Japan, even when it tries not to be. Whereas like KingOhger made that like stamp of like, we're going to use these CG screens no matter what, no matter if it looks like the background is moving under people while the camera is moving, we're going to stick with it. And like, to their credit, it gives that, it never gives off that effect of like, we're in a world that you and I know until we go to the KingOhger Earth. And then you're like, oh, this looks familiar.
When your favorite season crossed over with my favorite season. Exactly. Oh man, something about like, I don't know where to start with like how much I was surprised with how much I enjoyed KingOhger. Because the CGI, it was messy, like, but I will always give credit to someone for at least trying something with good intentions. But KingOhger and kind of Dawn Brothers as well. Maybe not as much Dawn Brothers, but definitely KingOhger. Almost every episode, I was just thinking, like, dang, this might be one of the best episodes. I don't know if they'll top this next week. Dang, this might be one of the best episodes. I don't know if they'll top this next week. Like, every episode, I was just thinking, wow, I'm genuinely surprised with how much I've been enjoying this. And like, I think that's kind of why KingOhger shot up to like, KingOhger is the reason why I even have a top 3 now. Cause it was just KingOhger and Dawn Brothers. Yeah. KingOhger shot up there because of how much it surprised me with how much I enjoyed it. And like, so much like, and it's like you said, like they were making it so like, it didn't feel like it was Sentai or in Japan. And everything they've been doing in Reiwa since KingOhger, it's just been bop after bop after bop. And like, when they started with the drastic changes in Zenkaiger, they started gradually growing. Like in Zenkaiger, the only drastic changes were just like what the Rangers looked like. In Dawn Brothers, the only drastic changes were like 2 of them having CGI and just like this almost dramatic storytelling mixed with just straight up genuinely hilarious Looney Tunes-esque like bullshit that's going on. And then KingOhger, it was like literally everything except for the Ranger suits are a drastic, like anything except for a Toku themed suit is a drastic change in like what's going on. And I was just genuinely surprised by the end of it. And that 3-parter, especially the penultimate episode 49, I have not reacted to any episode of KingOhger that insanely. KingOhger in the year that it happened.
Easily the Toku I've cried the most to, besides Build. I think I've cried more to Build than KingOhger, but I was surprised at crying as much as I did to KingOhger this year because I didn't think it would hit that hard. And I like Dawn Brothers, but every time after every episode of Dawn Brothers, I was very much like, man, that was really fun. But what the fuck are we talking about? Like, what is happening here?
Like, that pretty much is Dawn Brothers, like, to the T. Yeah. I still say this to this day. I still say this to my brother, too. Like, when my brother and I were still living with each other, by the time he had moved out, like, I think 2/3 of Dawn Brothers had happened already. Mm-hmm. And, like, throughout that entire time, like, I was in the academy when Dawn Brothers started, and it was, like, probably about 30-something episodes of Dawn Brothers that are aired. Throughout those 30-something weeks, whenever my brother would see me watching Dawn Brothers, because he knows about Super Sentai, he knows about Kamen Rider, he knows about Ultraman, because he and I fucked with Power Rangers when we were kids, and we still talk about everything about Power Rangers up to RPM to this day. Mm-hmm. So he's familiar with the fact that I'm like into this stuff. As much as I try to push him to try to watch this shit too, it's just not for him. But like, whenever he would see me watching Dawn Brothers, he's like, "What's this one? Oh, it's the current running Sentai. What's the theme? What's it about?"
I don't know.
like a good 10 seconds, I would be silent, trying to figure out what the hell to say to him. Like at this point, Aaron, to this day, Aaron, I still don't know how to explain Dawn Brothers. But I do remember
because Dawn Brothers doesn't know how to explain Dawn Brothers half the time.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of stuff that it was like, yeah, that's what it is. Sorry.
Yeah. But I do remember, I think it was the day my best friend in our squad, we went to go watch Shin Ultraman, which, great experience. I had him watch the Dawn Brothers movie because, dude's my best friend. I got him into Kamen Rider. He knows about Super Sentai. He fucked with Power Rangers. Our squad always tries to get invested in Kamen Rider whenever they're around me. Because, I'm the, I guess the fish out of water in the anime group of friends. So they're like, okay, Austin, you're trying to get into anime all this much. Let's try to get into Kamen Rider because this stuff always seems cool. So like when I was with my best friend at my place watching the Dawn Brothers movie one time, because I still hadn't seen it yet, I was just explaining to him what Dawn Brothers was. And my mission while I was talking to him that entire time was to make it seem like the most batshit crazy thing that was going on. Like the last specific thing. And I 100% intended to say it like this to throw him off. I said, yeah, but then there was that one time where the blue dude and the red dude, they hate each other, but they also love each other. They're trying to fuck. And then when the blue dude killed the red dude, or when the red dude killed the blue dude, the red dude put his fluids in him to bring the blue dude back to life. Yep. The facial reaction that he gave me when he saw that happen, that's usually the reaction that he gives me whenever he knows, like, whenever I catch him off guard with something stupid that I would say. It was perfect.
Like, don't get me wrong, perfect. Most of Dawn Brothers is lost on me, but I always point out the gay sex allegory. I'm always like, that's gay right there.
Yeah. Man, shout out to my best friend Nejan. That is my boy right there. Shout out to my brother too. Any of my friends that I mentioned, shout out to y'all, because shoot,
for putting up with us.
Oh yeah. Hopefully they'll hear this too, because man, I'm not gonna lie. I was about to mention this when you had talked about like you making YouTube. Mm-hmm. It still kind of surprised me with like how we ended up just becoming friends at all. Because usually, like when it comes to like just following and like adding content creators on here, it's almost like a parasocial relationship if you don't really do make content yourself. Yeah. So like when I saw you on here, I think I saw your video of like Memory of Heroes years ago, yeah. and then like a year or two later, that was when I actually started following you and stuff. And I don't remember when you and I started interacting on Twitter and stuff, but like you responded to one of my comments one time, and then we responded more. I'm like, okay, this dude is chill. Let me try to hit him up more. And then it was like it just got to a point where like it was less of a fanboy parasocial type of interaction, and it's just like, man, this dude is cool as hell. I'm down to watching everything that he does. I hope I get to hang out with this dude and see him someday. So it's almost like it's damn near surreal, like being able to like do some type of work with someone that I like, whose stuff I'm usually subscribed to and like am damn near a fanboy of. Like that's pretty much how it was with Ivan when he and I first became friends as well.
Yeah. And it's like weird because like our niche or our, I guess you could call it fandom, we'll talk about this for a second, is so small that like we all kind of know each other, right? If I see someone, doing all the Ryuki poses, I haven't seen Ryuki, but I'm like, oh god damn, that's Kamen Rider. Let me follow this guy. Let me like this stuff. Yeah. Let me retweet his stuff. And it's like we're such a small niche fandom that one, it's very easy to become friends. But two, I think a lot of people take that as, oh, we're all already friends. We're all already friends. And we all already have the same beliefs and have lived the same experiences and all this stuff. And it's like, those are two completely separate things.
Very, very different.
And it's so hard for people to understand that, especially in any fandom. Any fandom thinks like we should all think the same because we all like this one thing. Austin, where can people find you?
So the first two places first three places you can really find me, you can find me on Twitter as Austin Jones 6, and then you can find me on Instagram and TikTok as OmniRanger, which that's been my nickname since I graduated high school. If you don't know the story why, ask someone that does know, because I don't even think that many people do know, but whatever. But now you can also technically find me on One Man Sentai. As One Man Sentai on YouTube as well. It's all one word, just the word one man and Sentai. I made that YouTube back in college, and I was making like the posing videos on a regular basis, and I just stopped at a certain point. But now that I'm getting back into it, if y'all want to watch like the videos that I make on there, I highly encourage it, because I'm still going to be making posing videos, but I'm also going to be making reaction videos, probably top tier list videos as well. So if y'all want to check out my YouTube as well, please go ahead and check it out. I ain't even making money from it. I just want you to watch my stuff.
I just want you to watch me. And don't forget, at the gym, taking pictures as your local thirst trap.
Possibly doing a pose in front of the mirror after a workout as well.
Probably hitting the Ryuki pose in front of the mirror.
And then breaking the mirror because I tried to run into
it. We got to get those mirror monsters. Austin, thank you for coming on, buddy.
Hawk, this was such a pleasure, man. It was great talking to you.
You too, brother.
Fellas, is it gay to want more Toku Trash podcast? I don't know why that was the tag I came up with, but if you want more Toku Trash podcast, tokutrash.tv, become a member there at any tier, and you get the full 2-hour conversation with myself and Austin. We go into much more about anime. We go into much more about fandom culture, and how to navigate those things. And then, like I said earlier in the episode, some young children's television and what we like about those things and how that has changed our perspective a little bit going throughout the years. And I think we get into a very deeper conversation at the very end. It extended after we stopped recording, but I think we touch on it a bit at the end there, and it's really good. Austin is a very, very just thoughtful and intelligent man, and I am proud to be able to call him my friend. So if you enjoy his stuff, go check him out at all those places he named. And if this is the end and you don't want to listen to the rest and you're like, I'll wait for the next one, then I will see you at the next one. Thank you so much for enjoying the ride. Whatever your reason for listening, I love you. Take care of yourself. Be positive. Be peaceful. And have a good night. Unless you're driving, don't have a good night if you're driving. Just make it to where you're going, and then, maybe start the podcast over. Start the podcast over if you still got some time in the car. Start it over, and then listen to me at the beginning. And then by the time it's done again, maybe you're at where you want to be, in distance wise, not in life. Progress is where you want to be in life. Just keep making progress. I'm gonna go now. Thanks.